Hey, Jace, it's Richard. Pleasure meeting you yesterday. I told you I'd make you a quick video on or a report, kind of just showing you a couple things that I think you could drastically improve on in order to get calls coming in. So I'm going to hit on like 3 to 4 things that I think need to change in order for you to see really an increase in calls. So the first thing I'm going to hit on is your website. So it was built on WordPress, and if you look here on our report here, it is a WordPress website. So WordPress is the best place to build a website on. Sometimes it's not as user friendly as, let's say, Duda or Wix, but it is a really great platform, and it's the best platform for SEO purposes. So you have that going for you. A couple things that I would note on the website is just the fact that it's very content light. So if you scroll through here, you see it's very picture heavy, which when we're building a website, we need to think about it in two aspects. The first one is the consumer's aspect. So a consumer wants to land on your website and they need to be able to make a decision in about 30 seconds about what you do if it's what they need, and then some sort of a call to action. And you can see on here, if you scroll all the way through, your button or your phone number on here isn't a clickable link, so they can't just click and call. And so having calls to action, having ways that they can get in contact with you, whether that's a fill out form or click on the phone number or click and maybe they have chat widgets now. Where they can actually chat with you live or maybe one of your staff, just ways for them to get in touch with you. So um, one of the things that I would say to do as far as research is, and I'll go here real quick. I just Googled Gutters Gresham because Gresham is fairly close to where you're actually physically located. And if you take a look at these guys right here, I'll pull up their websites in just a second. But I want you to note a couple of things on their Google profiles. A couple of these guys, this guy right here is sponsored. So that he's basically paying to be there. It has nothing to do with his website, has nothing to do with the fact that he has 290 reviews. So I'm surprised that he's not ranking organically already. But you can see number one right here. So this is the what we call the three pack, the top three people that are listed in Google. Number one only has 97 reviews. So when I was looking at your Google profile, I believe it's right here. You have 27 reviews. So it's not super far behind, a little bit far behind. So it's going to take us a little bit to catch up. But your ranks right here, 4.6 stars. And if you go back here, to these guys, 5 stars, 4.8, and 4.9. So we got to do a little bit better on some of the reviews. But let's hit your website first. So if you look at your website and you just scroll through here, right? Very, very content light. And when I talk about content, I mean words because we're appealing to the consumer because we want to make it pretty, we want to make it concise, we want them to make a decision as soon as they get on our website. Hey, this is a guy that I need to call for my gutters, right? But we also have to appeal to the Google computer. And the Google algorithm, if you want to call it that, and that's kind of what most people talk about when they talk about SEO, is it wants words, and yours is super light as far as words. When we build a website for any of our clients, we're usually looking for about 20 pages of content and then 30,000 words, which sounds like a lot, but with AI and content writers, you can crank out 30,000 words in a short period of time. It's not overnight, but it's fairly quick. So if you look here, you have a home page, about page, a service page, a contact page, and a frequently asked questions page. So if you go to some of your competition really quickly, so like let's say All Seasons, Royals, or Gutter Empire, and you take a look at their website, and you see how a lot of this, it's not like super content heavy, but it's more content heavy than yours are, or yours is. It has a little bit more descriptions as far as what services they provide right on that first page. So a consumer, if you think about this, like who would you call? Would you call you, or would you call, All Seasons Gutters, right? And is Google going to show All Seasons Gutters, or are they going to show you? And so just kind of scrolling through here, and this is kind of some of the homework I would give you if I was coaching you, is just kind of going through and looking at the competition in the area and seeing what they're doing, because whatever they're doing is things that you need to be doing. And they have the frequently asked questions right on the first page. They've got reviews. If you look right here, they have reviews pulling directly in from Google, which on WordPress or pretty much any other um, website builder, you can pull in, they call it a widget, and they basically just pull in all of your Google reviews. So as people review you, that new review just gets populated right on that on your website. So take a look at that. And then one thing that I want you to pay attention to is if you look at this right here, services. So they have each service broken down into a specific page, which gives them more content, more words, right? And even though it kind of seems repetitive a little bit to maybe you or a lot of business owners, it's something that Google is looking for. The other thing that they have, right, well, I'll go back up right here, service area. This one doesn't link. I'll show you another website that does in just a second. But down here at the very bottom, they do have each of these pages. So when we look at a 20-page website, we're looking at like what are the services that you provide. We need a page for each of those, so we have content, and then we need city specific service pages. So like gutter installation Portland, gutter installation West Linn, gutter installation. They El Oswego instead of Lake Oswego, but you kind of get the idea. So each of these pages of each service needs to have a page for that specific city in order to get ranked fairly well. We've seen people get ranked without that, but it's very, very rare. And a lot of times when we're trying to do this, it's like, hey, what are best practices? Best practices are having a service page for each of the services, having a city specific page for each of the services. And a lot of people think like, okay, well, hey, I just need to have a website and I'm going to get calls. That's not the case anymore, especially with the advent of AI. If you can kind of take a look at here, of Royal Gutters, very, very similar, all the services. They don't actually break it down into their city-specific pages, but they probably have them on the back end where they're not necessarily listed on the menu. And then you can see, like right here, they have services. Like, look at all these services they have, right? And then the About Us section, it's not necessarily just one page, it's 5 pages. Their gallery, so you can see how these bigger websites that have more content are going to get ranked a little bit better than, let's say, a smaller website where yours is only 5 pages and then also it doesn't have a lot of content on it. Same thing here. If you go I'm not sure exactly why Guardian Roofing is ranking as well, but you can see it on their website. One, it's super clean, super professional, and they have a lot of different pages for a lot of different stuff that necessarily you don't have. So those are the things that if I was coaching you, I'd be like, hey, the first thing we need to just kind of rebuild the website, kind of start from scratch and look at like, hey, what's the full scope? Like from point A to point B, what do we need to actually do? And all the steps in between that. And this isn't something that you necessarily have to put together overnight, but the faster you do it, go from 0 pages to 20 pages, 30 pages, 40 pages, it makes a huge difference. One of the other things that helps a whole bunch is going to be blogs, because blogs are things that Google is now looking at like, okay, just because you have a whole bunch of pages doesn't mean I'm going to rank you. What is helpful content for that end consumer? And blogs are a really great way to talk about, you were talking about yesterday that your busy season is more towards the winter, probably because leaves are falling, gutters are getting clogged, people are having problems, we're having a whole bunch of rain, and things are spilling over. Okay, now we need to get this actually fixed. So you can actually write a blog about why you should get it fixed before that, and then publish that, and that just gives you more content. So it's another great way to produce more content. Um, let's switch over to your GMB really quickly. I think it's this tab. So your GMB is actually not too bad. You do have quite a few photos. So if you look here, you have quite a few photos. You have some videos, which is really good. You don't have a ton, right? And I've had clients rank solely because they have tons of photos. They don't have a lot of great reviews. They have some great reviews, but they have, 700, 800, which I know sounds like a lot, but as you keep uploading photos of each job, like you take 4 pictures of each job or 10 pictures of each job and start uploading them, it can compound really, really quickly. but overall your GBP isn't super bad. If you look at your rankings, which I'll go show you down here, um, you're ranking number 10 or worse, pretty much in this whole entire area. This is one area that I wanted to talk about really quickly as far as trying to get calls from Google My Business. So your Google My Business, you're really only going to rank about 8 to 15 miles or so around your physical address. So one thing I would talk about, or I would suggest to you if you were a client or if I was just coaching you either way, is to relocate the business address and center it around like let's say 13-mile radius around where you actually want to work. So if you want to work in Happy Valley, Gresham, Fairview, Troutdale, all that area, then we need to center it as close to a center as we can. And there's lots of ways you can do that. If you know somebody in Gresham, somebody in Happy Valley, something like that, you can actually just move that location to an address and then just hide the address. So let's say it's a friend or family member, and you're like, hey, can I just use your address for my business address just to put it on Google so I can get more customers over here? You can easily do that, and then we can just hide their address so that way people don't like show up to their house. The other great way, it is a paid way for about 40 to about 80 bucks a month, you can grab a virtual address where it's basically just an office building with a bunch of suite numbers. You don't want to use PO boxes, you don't want to use UPS addresses or anything like that, but there's a lot of virtual addresses that you can use to remove or move your location or even create second locations, which I help people do all the time, where it's like, hey, I want to hit the whole Portland metro area. Well, you're never going to do that. I don't care if you're like smack dab in the middle of Portland, you're never going to hit Gresham to all the way to Hillsborough. That's just never going to happen. So we need to have multiple addresses, kind of like McDonald's or Starbucks or something like that, where we have multiple locations, where we have multiple circles, and they kind of start overlapping themselves. So that would be kind of second thing. I would say number one, we need to redo your website. Number two, we need to recenter where your address is, so that way you can hit other people. Because being in Welch's, you're never going to hit people in Clackamas. Like, I don't care what you do. I don't care how good your website is. I don't care how many reviews you have. You're just never going to have that reach because you're so far outside of Clackamas and Gresham. You might be able to hit Boring, maybe Damascus, but I mean, in all honesty, like I would just recenter you in order to do that. Third thing is going to be that we'll talk about real quick is when you're looking at Google and getting actually ranked. One thing that Google looks at is the authoritative. They basically call it NAP, name, address, phone number, on all these other websites. So even though like Merchant Circle, Yelp, Bing, Yahoo are all kind of secondary sites that people will go to, Google still looks at that and says, okay, hey, I have this information. Do all these other websites have that same exact information? And you can see here on the report, Google has the information, but then if you look down here, it only has partial information. And when I say partial information, if you have an address with a suite number and you go to Bing and register a Bing location, and instead of putting suite, the actual word, but you put STE on that, it's not a match. And so Google's looking like you literally have to think about this as a computer. It is looking for exact, and if it's not exact, it doesn't match. So one thing that we also help with, and there's lots of services that can do this, is syncing all of the top 100 websites with the exact same information. Because just doing that, you're going to boost your ranks. Again, though, the biggest issue I think that you have right now outside your website is just your physical location. It's just too far outside of any of the populated places in order to get a good amount of traffic. So even if you redid your whole entire website, did all the SEO, got tons of reviews, you're never going to rank in Clackamas because it's just too far away from Welch's. So I would look at just recentering that. So top two things, redo your website and recenter. I looked at your social media because we talked a little bit about that. You said it was kind of going at like, 12%, which it kind of is. This is kind of a monster for a lot of business owners, creating content on a consistent basis or posting on a consistent basis. This is something that, again, we could help you with, or I can give you some tools to help you with where hey, we can post to all of the places at the same time. So every day that you guys are on a job, you said you had a job, I think tomorrow on Thursday, and again, like 4 jobs next week, taking those pictures, making a little bit of a description, and then posting to all of the platforms at the exact same time makes it way easier, saves a ton of time instead of having to log into all of those. Like we talked about yesterday, Instagram is going to be indexable, where it's basically going to be able to be read, which is going to help boost a lot of conversions for a lot of people. We're putting a lot of focus on a lot of our clients right now that don't have Instagram or Facebook because a majority of contractors don't have either of the platforms. Some of them have a Facebook, some of them have an Instagram, some of them have both, but they're not really active. And so the ability for us to make a big leap in ranking is going to it's going to progress really fast because we don't have any competition, because a lot of them don't have it. So those are kind of the 3, 4 things that I would say that you need some help with. So if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out, or um, yeah, I'll shoot you another email. Talk to you soon.